No. And I mentioned this on Twitter on Saturday night as well. It's a great question. Ultimately, I think it's too soon for me to say, but in the handful of television looks, no, I don't see anything. When limited to video, I'd like to get 25 or 30 swings, and I don't have that at this point. I have maybe 8. But I don't see anything. And a lot of times when I look for swing differences, I'm looking for the first thing I'm looking for is, did he get to a pitch that watching it I didn't expect him to get to, whether it's plate coverage or velocity or whatever it is. Did he do something with a pitch that we haven't really seen him do? No. So that doesn't stand out. So then you have to actually look for mechanical changes. And that's really hard to do from the center field camera angle. I'd like to get, some from alternate angles like behind the dish and from the third base camera, that kind of an angle. And we're not going to get that on television. Can only see so much from the center field camera angle. But so far, no, I don't think we're seeing anything. And if that's truly the case, that there aren't significant changes, I think we've seen at least 90% of Crawford's best. I think he's peaked for the most part. I mean, we're talking about a guy who he does not have great bat speed, and a lot of things have to line up for him mechanically because of that in order for him to drive the ball, to use the middle of the field, to hit the ball the other way a little bit. I think in some ways, the less power a hitter has, the more he has to use the field. Because if you're a singles hitter, which is essentially what J.P. Crawford is, and there's nothing wrong with that if you could be really good at it, and you can hit 280 with a 350 OBP. There's nothing wrong with that at all. At the end of the day, who cares how many home runs J.P. Crawford hits? I mean, if he's going to go out there and hit for average and get on base, the defense, that's a good player. Okay? And he's flashed some of that. But if he's going to be a 250, 330 guy at best, we've kind of seen that already. So, without significant changes, and when I say significant, just meaningful changes, it may not be obvious. It may not be like, wow, he's holding his hands in a completely different spot, or he's really opened up, or he's really closed, or he's moved up in the bottom, whatever it is. It's not always obvious if it's meaningful. If he's not going to do that, I think we've seen it. We're not talking about a 21-year-old kid anymore. And we'll certainly revisit this as the season progresses, because maybe there are a few things that Crawford wants to try, but just isn't something he's dropping in spring training. It's entirely possible. But he doesn't have great bat speed. There are some parts to the swing instead of it being easy and fluid. And because of those two things in combination, he has to be perfect mechanically. So there are some things that it's not always the easiest thing to do. And nobody's more aware of that than the Seattle Mariners, that this isn't Barry Bonds, that he doesn't have, Jared Kelnick's hands. They're aware of that. So I really think Crawford's about working counts, swinging at strikes, making sure he swings at pitches that he can drive, that he can handle, and having a really good 2-strike swing. Those are the most important things for Crawford. But it comes down to, can he get to everything? At the end of the day, it comes down to, can he get to everything? Otherwise, pitchers are going to find holes, and they're going to attack J.P. Crawford down and in. They're going to attack J.P. Crawford up and in. They're going to attack J.P. Crawford top of the zone across horizontally. They're going to attack J.P. Crawford on the outer edge, because he's not going to hurt them there. Again, because there's no power. There's no real power there. There's no real threat there. If I miss inner quarter of the strike zone down at his knees, what are the chances he hits the ball out of the ballpark? Not great. Not very good at all. And he's probably never hit a home run on a pitch up and in. And he's probably never hit a home run, at least in pro ball, probably never hit a home run on a pitch on the outer edge. So that's where they're going to live. There are holes, and he needs to close them. But in order to do that, you have to use the whole field. And in order to do that, that swing just needs to become, what's the word I'm looking for? It just needs to be smoother and easier. The swing doesn't seem easy. It looks like he tries awfully hard to get started. So I don't really know what the fix is exactly. But yeah, I don't see anything. We'll keep an eye on that, though. We'll keep an eye on that. He's streaky. And I think the reason he's streaky is because there are holes in certain parts of his, certain parts of the strike zone, certain parts of the swing. And when he starts to cover one, it just takes a couple of weeks for a team to find another one. I mean, he's reading the scouting report, too. He's reading his own scouting report, and he's reading the scouting report of the pitcher and combining them and going, all right, they've been throwing me in with hard stuff, so here's how I'm going to combat that. And then the team's going, well, he's ready for this, so now let's pound him away, or let's go down and in with sliders from right-handers, and let's throw sweepers from lefties away from him. And then he's going to struggle a little bit, and then he's going to catch up to that one, and then, yeah. So he's not able to get out in front. He's just not good enough at this point to be able to get out in front and to be able to cover everything, so to speak. Appreciate that, Jeff. Thank you very much. J.P. Crawford probably just is what he is. Probably just is what he is. And while it's in my lineup projection,